My name is Claire Bennett. I'm 27 years old, and 3 hours before my wedding, my mother looked me dead in the eyes and said something I'll never forget. "Try not to embarrass this family today." She said it while adjusting the diamonds around her neck. Real diamonds. Old money diamonds. The kind my parents loved showing off at charity dinners and country club galas. Then her eyes moved slowly over my dress. Not designer, not custom-made, simple satin. Clean lines. No giant train. No glitter. My sister Vanessa smirked beside her and whispered loud enough for everyone to hear, "I still can't believe she picked that dress." A few bridesmaids laughed. My fiancé Ethan squeezed my hand under the table. But I just smiled. Because what they didn't know was that the hotel they were standing inside, I owned it. Not just the ballroom, the entire building. And in less than 4 hours, my family was going to find out exactly how cheap their daughter really was. But before I tell you what happened, hit like and subscribe. And tell me where you're watching from. I read more comments than you think. Now let me take you back 6 years, to the dinner where my family first started calling me the cheap daughter. My parents were obsessed with appearances. Country clubs. Luxury cars. Charity auctions. Designer labels. Everything had to look expensive. My father used to say, "People respect money when they can see it." My sister Vanessa loved that philosophy. She spent money like breathing came naturally to her. $20,000 handbags. Weekend trips to Miami. Jewelry she posted online before even removing the price tag. And my parents adored her for it. Meanwhile, I drove a used Honda and worked 2 jobs while finishing college. Not because I was broke. Because I hated waste. That difference became a joke in my family. At Thanksgiving, Vanessa laughed because I brought homemade candles as gifts instead of buying luxury boxes from some celebrity brand. At Christmas, my dad asked if I needed financial help because I reused the same winter coat. Even my mom started introducing me to people as our practical daughter. Practical. That was the polite word. The real word was cheap. At first, I tried explaining myself. I liked saving money. I liked investing. I liked building things slowly. But eventually, I stopped defending myself. Because every conversation turned into humiliation. Then something happened that changed my entire life. I was 22 when my grandmother died. And unlike the rest of my family, I actually spent time with her before she passed. Every Sunday. Tea. Crossword puzzles. Long conversations in her tiny apartment overlooking the river. One night, about 2 weeks before she died, she grabbed my hand and said something strange. "Don't let shallow people convince you that quiet success is failure." At the time, I thought she was talking about life. Turns out, she was talking about money. 3 months after the funeral, a lawyer called me. My grandmother had left me her entire investment portfolio. Not Vanessa. Not my parents. Me. Almost $400,000. And here's the part nobody knew. I didn't spend it. I invested every dollar. Small apartment buildings. Parking properties. Commercial spaces. I studied markets at night while working during the day. For years, nobody noticed what I was building because I never looked rich. That was the funny part. My family thought wealth meant designer clothes and champagne photos online. Real wealth is usually quiet. By 26, my investments were worth millions. But my family still treated me like the embarrassing daughter who clipped coupons. And honestly, I let them. Because people reveal who they truly are when they think you have nothing to offer them. The real breaking point came during wedding planning. My mother wanted a luxury wedding that looked like a royal ceremony. Ice sculptures. Imported flowers. Crystal ceilings. She kept saying, "This wedding represents the Carter family." Translation? It wasn't about me. It was about showing off. One afternoon during cake tasting, Vanessa laughed and held up her phone. Elena actually asked about the cheaper menu options. The planner looked uncomfortable. My mother sighed dramatically. "Sweetheart, Ethan's family is going to think we're struggling." I remember sitting there silently while they mocked me for wanting smaller portions and less waste. Not one of them knew I had already wired 7 figures into a new acquisition account that morning. That wasn't even the worst part. 2 weeks before the wedding, I overheard my father talking to one of his friends. "She means well," he said about me. But Elena's never understood status. Status. I sat in my car afterward staring at the steering wheel
Because
for almost
suddenly
an hour. I realized something painful. My family didn't actually know me at all. Then came the wedding day. The ballroom glittered gold under giant chandeliers. Guests filled the room wearing tuxedos and designer gowns. Vanessa walked around showing people her jewelry like she was hosting the Oscars. And everywhere I went, I heard comments. "She could have chosen a better dress. She's lucky Ethan comes from money. She's always been the simple one." Simple. Cheap. Practical. The words followed me all day. But everything changed during the reception. My father stood to give a toast. At first, it sounded normal. Then he smiled into the microphone and said, "We always worried about Elena because she never cared much about financial success." The room laughed softly. "And thankfully," he continued, "she found a husband willing to provide the lifestyle she never seemed interested in building herself." Even Ethan froze beside me. My chest tightened. Not because I was hurt anymore, but because I was done. I slowly stood up. Smiling. Calm. Quiet. The entire ballroom watched me walk toward the stage. I took the microphone gently from my father's hand. Then I turned toward the guests. "I actually need to thank my parents," I said softly. The room went silent. They spent years teaching me the difference between looking wealthy and being wealthy. You could feel the tension spreading table by table. My mother's smile started slipping. Then I continued. 6 years ago, my grandmother left me an investment portfolio. I spent years building it quietly while most people assumed I had no ambition. Vanessa crossed her arms immediately. I looked around the ballroom slowly. This hotel was purchased by my company 8 months ago. Silence. Complete silence. My father blinked at me. I could literally see his brain trying to process the sentence. Then I smiled gently. "So technically, thank you all for attending my wedding. And thank you to the staff for taking such good care of my guests." Somebody dropped a fork. Vanessa looked physically sick. My mother whispered, "What?" I wasn't angry anymore. That was the strange part. I just felt free. After the reception, everything changed. Suddenly my father wanted to talk business. My mother started asking questions about investments. Vanessa tried acting supportive. But it was too late. Because once you realize people only respect you after discovering your bank account, you stop craving their approval. Ethan and I left for our honeymoon 2 days later. And for the first time in my life, I felt peaceful. Not because I proved them wrong, but because I finally understood something my grandmother tried teaching me years ago. Real success doesn't scream. It doesn't beg for attention. And it definitely doesn't need validation from shallow people. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is build quietly while everyone underestimates you. And sometimes, the people laughing the hardest are standing in a building you already own. If this story meant something to you, comment below. Have you ever been underestimated by your own family? And if you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more emotional revenge and comeback stories.